from Serengeti to Masai Mara. It's not just the distance of the herbivore migration, but also the span of the carnivore's feast. Every year at the end of April, about 1.5 million wildebeest set off from the Serengeti, heading to the Mara River where water is distributed. Among them are hundreds of thousands of zebras and gazelles. For this grand event, whether predators or scavengers, all eagerly await it. Among these, the lappet-faced vulture is a versatile carnivore. It's both a hunter and a scavenger. In the face of the hyena's extremely strong bite force, even if it's just bone, it can scrape out the nutrients inside. Where there are hyenas, other scavengers need to queue up quietly and wait until they're done eating. These lappet-faced vultures dare to come forward and clean up the leftovers. Compared to other types of vultures, lappet-faced vultures have very strong beaks, which can easily tear off small pieces of meat from bones. But most importantly, lappet-faced vultures can cut open whole carcasses. This is something other vultures cannot do. As a scavenger, quietly eating, that's more important than anything. Black-backed jackals know this well, because before food goes into your stomach, it's not yours. On this prairie, those hungry beasts can fight for a tiny bit of food. So quietly enjoying it, eating silently, that's more important than anything. Dozens of kilometers away, a large group of vultures is feasting. It's a giraffe left over by lions. The hindquarters were already divided up and taken away by the lions, but there are still many places to gnaw on. The hyena family is here too. This is the perfect time to eat chicken. Semi-dried meat is more chewy, and the taste is better. There aren't too many rules for dining outdoors. Even if they're kicked off the table, they can wait patiently. Black-backed jackals got a deer leg. Hyenas also hug another leg and tear at it. A few weeks later, the vanguard of the wildebeest began to arrive at the Mara River. Based on past feast experiences, the vultures here have already occupied the best opening positions. Besides them, crocodiles have also started brushing their teeth. These guys haven't had a full meal in months. They can't wait to fill their stomachs. The wildebeest begin to cross the river. During such large-scale movements, the number of wildebeest trampled and leg broken is 10 times more than those eaten by predators, or even hundreds of times more. During the waiting process, they must maintain their formation to avoid giving crocodiles an opportunity. After the vanguard reached the other side, a group of exhausted wildebeest was eliminated. Originally steep riverbanks became more slippery. After being trampled by wildebeest, some wildebeest also broke their legs as a result. Even if it can go ashore, its chances of survival are extremely slim. In the downstream riverbank, vultures are already preparing to bury this group of eliminated wildebeest. The second batch to cross the river is zebras. After leaving hundreds of bodies, they also successfully arrived at the vast grassland. A young crocodile swims slowly over. It has its eyes on a zebra lying on the shore. For the need for food, crocodiles may not be that great. Their stomach is only the size of a football, and metabolism is very slow. A full meal can last a long time. Sometimes, crocodiles will put those leftovers hidden under the stones, save it for later enjoyment. This Mara River welcomes and sends off every day. More than 1 million wildebeest cross the river in batches. Each crossing is on a scale of more than 1,000. And the further back, the greater the pressure on the wildebeest. Because the grass on this land has long been swept away by the wildebeest that crossed earlier. Hunger and exhaustion will eliminate some of the old, weak, sick, and disabled. Crossing the river as soon as possible has become the most urgent action for this herd of wildebeest. Some wildebeest may not be ready, but they were pushed down by the wildebeest behind them. After entering the water, they can only swim to the other side at all costs. When arriving at the other side, this group of wildebeest realized that there was no way to go. The steep river bank is difficult to climb. Even so, the wildebeest behind are still stacking up. In just a moment, this Mara River was blocked by wildebeest. What's worse is that the front team stopped moving forward. The large troops behind are still crossing the river continuously. Wildebeest in the middle are subjected to squeezing from all directions. Some wildebeest die directly. If the energy to move forward is hindered, then a snail-like chaos is formed. This leads to more wildebeest falling, and eventually becoming stepping stones for other wildebeest. Fortunately, they finally found an exit, but such a narrow passage does not alleviate the pressure of the wildebeest crossing the river. With more and more wildebeest, the entire river island of the Mara River is blocked, becoming a barrier to other members of its kind. For some reason, every year when wildebeest migrate, they change their route. Even if they have found the safest river crossing point before, they will not retrace that path. Perhaps it's because they don't learn from their mistakes and retain experience. This year's road has caused heavy losses to the wildebeest herd. When the main force has all crossed the river, occasionally there are still some survivors crawling out of it and staggering ashore. Slowly, this Mara River gradually returned to calm. These wildebeest carcasses will float downstream. At this time, hooded vultures are hovering here for these foods. They have long wanted to enjoy this feast. But without a lappet-faced vulture present, it's not their time to feast. Because relying on their beaks, there is no way to tear open the wildebeest's skin and flesh. If the lappet-faced vulture never arrives, then they can only wait for this feast to completely rot before they can enjoy it. On the other side of this river, on the plains of Masai Mara, the hyena family is scavenging the wounded after the migration. In a matriarchal society, the hyena queen occupies a dominant position. She and her daughters and sisters will enjoy the more tender parts of the prey. As for the leftovers, they are left to the male hyenas. Hyenas can eat the equivalent of their own weight, a third of the food. This is much larger than the crocodile's food intake. Skin, fur, bone, gristle, can all be ground and digested. After the hyenas finish eating, vultures swarm up, striving to clean up the last of the food. Even rotten corpses can be wiped out in a moment. The carrion they eat is more than all other carnivores combined. A lappet-faced vulture landed here. Other vultures can only stand aside. These vultures dare not step forward to compete. Instead, they vent their anger on their own kind. Before long, a young male hyena also came. He is a member of another clan. He can't get enough to eat at home, so he can only come here to forage. On the other hand, dozens of kilometers away, the wildebeest corpses floating in the Mara River and the have begun to rot. Vultures began to enjoy this buffet. Even though the food is so plentiful, vultures will still fight. This may be because they always feel that the meat eaten by their companions is more delicious than their own. The vulture's feeding seems disorganized, but there are certain rules to it. The larger vultures get to enjoy the food first, while the smaller ones wait quietly on the shore. After eating their fill, these vultures will wash away the filth from their bodies here, then spread their wings and quietly digest the food in their stomachs. The bounty that this great migration brings them cannot be digested in a short time. After eating the previous meal, the crocodile chooses to continue eating. There's no slow and steady wins the race. Eat as much as possible when food is plentiful. This is how they can survive the season of food scarcity. Now these reptiles won't attack the wildebeest herd at all. Faced with inexhaustible food, the only thing they need to think about is filling their stomachs with deliciousness. Every diner here eats until their throat is full. But on the Masai Mara plains, a family of black-backed jackals is still hungry. Especially the pups that have just been weaned. They never seem to be full. They eat everything: carrion, insects, wild fruits, and even mushrooms. The black-backed jackal found a wildebeest that was left over. It drives away the huge lappet-faced vulture and enjoys this delicacy alone. When raising pups, the black-backed jackal needs more food than usual. It quickly gnaws at the scraps of meat on the skeleton, especially when it is eating. With so many diners around, it devours the food faster than usual. This season, on the plains of the Masai Mara, food never seems to be lacking. The lion pride has just caught a wildebeest injured in the migration. Almost all carnivores will start enjoying the prey from the lower body, because there is more meat in this part, and it is easier to bite into. Obviously such a big prey, two lionesses can't fit much more meat in their stomachs. Most of the wildebeest is left uneaten. The lionesses don't plan to just discard it, but prepare to hide it for a late-night snack. But in the end, she gave up, because compared to the effort required to carry the prey, it would be easier to catch another one. After all, on the Masai Mara plains, there are still many injured wildebeest. The lappet-faced vultures get food again. Their strong stomach can dissolve the tendons connecting the bones. After they are full, another type of vulture comes on stage, the Egyptian vulture. Their meal is more refined, long and sharp, can pick out the meat from the bone seams. As for the muscles attached to the skeleton, it will be left to another type of cleaner to clear them. Nomadic ants, they have no fixed nests, living a nomadic life, eating whatever they find, and a group has more than 1 million individuals, plus scalpel-like mandibles, can scrape the skeleton clean. Until the end, what's left of this wildebeest is probably just an incomplete skeleton. 2 months later, the wildebeest injured in this migration are all eliminated. And at this time, the Mara River has also been cleaned up almost completely. After maintaining it for 2 months, the vultures and wildebeest here have become radiant. It's hard to imagine. The vultures living in the Masai Mara and Serengeti consume thousands of tons of carrion every year, which also provides a cleaning function for the ecosystem. The Mara River is also starting to clear up. The entire food chain can operate healthily.